My name is Justin Howe, and this is my Module 16 for EDL 850. In this case, we are examining a school called Roosevelt High School, which is located in an affluent area where the students have access to all kinds of technology and fashions. Parents are attorneys and doctors and other professionals. The principal of the school is Dr. Stephen Forbes, who's been there for 9 years, very popular with the parents and well respected. And the case centers around a teacher named Miss Walker, who is a new hire. She was hired last year. Been at the school for 1 year. It's also was her first year of teaching as well. She runs a very highly structured classroom, high stress environment for the students, and Dr. Forbes has fielded complaints from parents previously about the high stress nature of her class. He's worked with her in the past to try and correct that, and she seems to have not taken any direction from him on correcting that to this point. Ms. Walker receives an email in this case that leads her to a website where there are, we assume, some recorded threats against her person, and she contacts Dr. Forbes and claims she's afraid for her life. And Dr. Forbes promises to pursue the matter and come to a conclusion. What do we need to know? First of all, we need to know the origin of the email, who sent it, who is making the threat against Ms. Walker. Second, once we determine the origin of the email, we need to identify who's responsible for sending the email, creating the website, making the threats against her, and then determining appropriate punishment for that individual or individuals. And the third thing we need to figure out or know is why Ms. Walker's classroom climate is so hostile and unfriendly and stressful, and we need to come to a conclusion on how to solve that issue as well. The problem here in this case is first identifying the individual that created the online attacks or threats against Ms. Walker. They have to be identified and they have to be disciplined according to school policy and perhaps according to the law if we determine that laws were broken in this case. 2, Ms. Walker's classroom climate must be corrected. We need to have her follow through with those suggestions that were made previously and make those corrections. And finally, any legal ramifications. We need to identify which, if any, laws were violated and be sure to involve law enforcement to make sure that appropriate punishments are handed out. My proposed plan of action to this case is to first meet with district technology specialists to try and track down the origin of the email, the creator of the website, and if we can determine that before taking any other steps, it would be best. Second step is to gather information from Ms. Walker, interview her more extensively than what was done over the phone the night of the threat, and try and obtain more facts from her. Step 3, involve the school resource officer. Given the nature of the threats, we want to bring the SRO in and have him be involved in this investigation. Maybe he can or she can conduct a investigation at the same time the administrator does, and maybe explore the possibility that these threats were made by family members of the students, and because that is a possibility as well. It may not be a student. Step 4, identify suspects and meet with students or student and their parent. Once we meet with technology, we meet with law enforcement, we meet with Ms. Walker, maybe we can identify some strong suspects, and then when we sit down with them, we want to be sure to have their parents there and a district representative along with law enforcement, and make sure everything is up front and documented as we go through this case. The strategies: number 1, contact the tech department the day after the administrator spoke with Ms. Walker. Take the URL in the email to tech and give them everything we have as far as the address of the website, the language of the email, and make sure they have what they need to do their investigation. Second, gather more information on Ms. Walker, sit down with her, and just take notes and document everything she says to try and identify a probable suspect. Step 3, provide the SRO all the facts we have in the case, invite them to sit down with us when we talk to Ms. Walker in the tech department, give them a class roster so they can do an investigation, and make sure that we don't rule out student families, siblings, students that may have graduated in previous years are all potential suspects in this case. And 4, identify the suspect and meet with student and parents. Invite everyone in to be a part of that final meeting. How will the resolution promote success for all students? 1, identifying and holding the guilty party responsible will help establish a school environment the students understand will not tolerate online bullying and set a precedent. It will discourage future acts of cyberbullying. By discouraging future cyberbullying, this will help create a safer school environment that will promote academic success and personal well-being of every student by potentially stopping any future acts. Step 2, working to change the classroom climate with Ms. Walker's class. Ms. Walker is not responsible for these threats, and that must be made clear to her that we don't hold her responsible, yet we still need to change the environment in her classroom. And by making those changes, we are promoting the academic success of all the students in her class. So that is something we need to do fairly quickly. Resolution of the problem include data from the case, threats. They were made online, so we need to involve the tech department. They apparently included threats of violence, so it's important we include law enforcement in this process. Her classroom climate. There's a history of negative classroom climate in her room. We've worked with her before, so we need to make sure that the topic is a discussion we have with her, that Dr. Forbes should have with her moving forward. And the strategies that we suggested in the past and the new strategies we might give her are implemented in her classroom. What did I think, feel, and value as I went through this case? As far as what I was thinking, while reviewing the case and determining a course of action, I was thinking about the importance of collecting facts and documenting my actions. The facts are important. It's important not to make accusations based solely on the opinions of Ms. Walker, so we must be sure we have facts before we move forward in identifying potential suspects. Documentation is going to be important. Document everyone I talk to, everything they say, anything the tech department comes back with, because that could all be part of a future legal case or something the Board of Education would want to review. What was I feeling? While reviewing the case and determining the course of action, I was feeling how important it will be to correct the climate in Ms. Walker's classroom. This incident likely stemmed from the poor climate that she fostered in her classroom, and by correcting that, we can prevent future incidents like this. What was I valuing? While reviewing the case, I was valuing student academic success and well-being. I knew that a successful conclusion of the case and appropriate punishment, along with correction of the classroom environment, would help restore and promote success for Ms. Walker's students. The unresolved issues in this case included which student or students or individuals were responsible for the online threat, and whether or not Ms. Walker would implement the changes that were suggested to her in her classroom. And finally, my resolution of this case promoted the academic success of every student by establishing a precedent that administration is not going to allow these types of incidents to occur without exhausting every effort and resource in bringing those types of individuals to justice, if you will, and promoting a a safe environment for the school. This will help demonstrate the integrity of school leadership by showing their willingness to take such things seriously and do whatever it takes to resolve them. By correcting the classroom climate in Ms. Walker's class, I would promote the academic success of every student by making it more conducive to learning. And finally, by refraining from making accusations without facts, I will avoid damaging the student-administrative relationship and promote a positive perception of school leadership, which will in turn promote the academic success of every student in the school. This also demonstrates a fairness and ethical action to the student body, and they can have more trust and respect for their school leadership. Thank you.